One of the hottest things in retro gaming right now has to be the rise of the mini and classic systems. Of course, this was spurred on by the success with Nintendo doing the NES Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic. People wanted to revisit the retro games that they grew up playing with a simple plug-and-play solution. And since then, we've seen more companies come along. You had the PlayStation Classic, the Neo Geo Mini, and of course the upcoming TurboGrafx 16 Mini. But the one I definitely had my eye on was the Sega Genesis Mini. When it was announced by Sega that they were going to be handling this system instead of AT Games, I got very excited. When it was also announced that M2 was going to be handling the emulation on the system, I once again got very excited. And Sega has been kind enough to work with me on the channel here to reveal all of the games coming to the Sega Genesis Mini. Well, Sega went above and beyond and actually sent me a Sega Genesis Mini to check out for you guys. So today on the channel, we're going to be checking out the Sega Genesis Mini. We're going to be unboxing this bad boy. We're going to be taking a look at the interface of it and taking a look at some of the games in this preview. Not a full-on review, as I can't talk about it all too much, but there are some things we definitely need to highlight with this system. So let's open this bad boy up, let's check out the menu, let's check out the emulation on some of the games, and see what I think about the Sega Genesis Mini.
Hey, RG285. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! Alright, so here we have the Sega Genesis Mini. As you guys can see, this is the official release of it. This will be the same one that you guys will be getting whenever you pick one up in September. And just the box, I mean, I absolutely love the box. You can see the Genesis 1 model here. Comes with 2 controllers, a mini Sega Genesis replica, ready to plug and play. Includes 40 legendary games plus 2 titles. We have Sonic hanging out here in the bottom corner as well. I love the packaging of this system. I think it looks great. We have Sonic hanging out on the side of the system as well, and then looking at the back of the system, we of course have all of the games that are available on here. 42 in total. We have the Sega Genesis 30th anniversary on here as well. So let's open this bad boy up and check out the actual system itself. We have a USB cable here, or actually this is an HDMI cable, I believe. No, that was the USB cable. Here's the HDMI cable that comes with it. And let us take the system out of the box. And here it is in all of its 16-bit glory, the Sega Genesis Mini. Look at this thing. Absolutely beautiful. That works. You got the reset button, the on-off as well. Nice little attention to detail. You can see the power plug and the HDMI out on the other side of it. Flipping it over, you of course have all the information on the build of the system. Take that off. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous looking system. And inside of the box, we also have some instructions, which, I mean, I don't need these. And the 2 controllers. This does come with 2 3-button controllers, which of course, some people are not going to be happy with that. Obviously, some of these games are designed with 6-button controllers in mind, so I definitely understand that. But I will say these controllers feel great. They have sort of a matte finish to them. I love the black and red. I think that looks really, really sharp, and they feel really good in my hand. The D-pad feels nice. The buttons themselves feel very nice as well. You have the start button on here. You can use the Retrobit 6-button USB controllers on the system as well, so I will be picking up some of those. And of course, it does come with 2 controllers. Everything is falling, and that is what's in the box. So let's get a few glamour shots of this, and now we have to see if this thing actually works well. All right, so here you can see when you boot up the system, it asks you what language you would like to play it in. I'm gonna go ahead and choose English because that is what I speak. And now we are thrust into the main menu of the system, and we can see how everything looks. So as you can see, there are box arts for all the games. You can organize them by genre, number of players, release date, or in alphabetical order, which is what we'll do. Taking a quick look at the settings here, if you have seizures, you probably don't want to play this. You can adjust some of the screen settings here. You can either do the 4:3 or 16:9, and you can also add in a CRT filter. I just like to play it without a CRT filter. There's also a few wallpapers you can have as well for a little background stuff. Nothing too crazy, you know, you've seen this time and time again with most of these systems, but I will say the presentation is much more robust than something that we saw with the PlayStation Classic. Of course, here's the lineup of games. You have such games as Altered Beast, Castlevania Bloodlines, Darius, which was the first time it's released on the Genesis, Earthworm Jim, Echo, Eternal Champions, Ghosts and Goblins, Phantasy Star 4, just so many awesome games. Of course, Mega Man The Wily Wars, which is a game that we're going to definitely take a look at, as it is the first time it has officially released on a Sega Genesis platform in the United States. It did release on the Virtual Console on the Nintendo Wii, but never officially on the Sega Genesis. It was a European European only release. So that is the lineup of games. So let's check out some of the games here. Whenever you choose a game, you get a little backstory on the game itself, which I actually really like. It shows you how many players there are, what genre it is as well. So that's pretty cool. You know, if you're not familiar with some of these games, you can sort of get a bit of a crash course and learn about what these games are. But of course, we're going to start things off with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, as I think most people are the most familiar with this Sega Genesis game, and it'll give a good indication of what the emulation is like on this system as well. So you can see everything looks very, very crisp. I'm playing this on a 52-inch HD television, and everything looks very, very good. You can hear that the sound is 100% accurate, which is, of course, one of the problems with the AT Games lineup of Genesis that we've gotten over the years. The sound emulation on them was poor, to say the least, but here you can see that the music is the right pitch and everything. All the sound effects are happening as well. I'm not playing very well, but, you know, that's just because of me. I will say the controls feel very nice and very responsive. I'm not noticing any sort of input lag from using the controller that comes with the system. Of course, I am using the 3-button controller, as I do not have a 6-button controller yet, so we're just going to look at mostly 3-button controller games with this system. But I mean, it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2, you know? Like, you kind of know what to expect with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and it's looking and playing like it should play. So that's a good thing in my opinion. If you want to get back to the menu system in this, there are one of two ways to do it, which I will show you guys. Basically, you can hold down start, or you can hold reset on the system itself. But obviously, if you're playing the system, you're just going to want to hold start to get to the main menu system. But you can see, yeah, you know, it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It looks great. It plays great. I think M2 obviously did a very good job with the emulation, at least on this game. Of course, I still have to spend some time off camera with this, as I am allotted to just 15 minutes of recording footage for this initial video. In the September video, we're going to go much more in depth and take a look at much more of the games. But this is just sort of my initial preview on the system, just so you guys can see how everything looks, how everything works, and basically what you expect. So now we're going to go into the menu system. Obviously, you can see you can save and load. There are 4 different save slots for each game, so that's super cool in my opinion, and you can just return to the main menu. So we're going to go ahead and return to the main menu and check out another game out of this library of 42 on the Sega Genesis Mini. Next up, I want to check out Darius, as Darius never came out officially on the Sega Genesis, so I think that'll be a fun game to check out. I'll make my way towards Darius. And you can see here, it is Darius for the Sega Genesis. Release date, 2019. Like, how freaking cool is that? A new Sega Genesis game officially released in 2019. Obviously done by Taito. I'm not really the biggest Darius fan in the world, as you'll see by me playing the game, but I do think this is a cool version of Darius. Like, the music is very Genesis. You know, you hear that a lot of reverb going on there. It definitely sounds like a Genesis with that, you know, bass lines and stuff like that. And I think this is a fun playing version of Darius. Like I said, you know, I played the Darius on the Sega Saturn. That was the one that I kind of got into, but I think this is a pretty fun game. It's an old school side-scrolling shoot 'em up game, and you know, you pick up different power-ups, you power up your ship, you go through a bunch of different levels. But you know, for a unreleased game for the Sega Genesis, it's kind of weird that this never released, because I think this could have been a really good game for the system, and I think people would have liked it. So here's just a brief little look at Darius. We're just going to play a little bit of the levels just to see if there's any slowdown or anything like that. As you can see though, everything is looking good. So let's go back to the menu. We'll go ahead and make a save state as well, just to see how it works. You see, it works very quickly, just nice and easy. So now let's check out another game here. What should we play? What should we play? Let's play a little bit of Bloodlines, shall we? Obviously, Bloodlines is sort of the black sheep of the Castlevania family, which I don't really understand, because I always thought Bloodlines was a fantastic Castlevania game, but some people aren't really all that into it, but I'm definitely one of those people that is super into it. So we're going to check out some Bloodlines here, just play a bit of the first level, make sure all the emulation, and most importantly with Castlevania games, the music is spot on. And once again, you know, everything looks and sounds like it should, and most importantly, it feels like it should. There's no input lag that I'm noticing with any of the 3 games that we've played so far, and the controls feel very nice. Like I said, the 3-button controller that comes with the system, it does come with 2 3-button controllers, is very responsive, and when it's in your hand, it really feels like an original Sega Genesis controller, but it just looks cooler because it has the red instead of the white on there. And I know they did the red in a limited run sort of release initially with the Sega Genesis Genesis, but I've always just kind of preferred the red. So here we are, we've got the little power up that's making us invincible. And now we're just going through the level here and pretty much just checking things out. You know, I like to get to the Peeping Tom area, the Merman area, see how it is, just to, you know, see how everything holds up, because obviously when all the mermen are flying on the screen, things can get a little bit shaky. So let's head downstairs and check out our good friends, the mermen. And here they come, and we're just taking them out. We're just taking them out with no issues. Everything is, you know, running as it should. And that's the most important thing, because when you look at something like the PlayStation Classic and all of the different regions, you know, it was European region, PAL region games, and you were having all this slowdown and all these issues. It's nice to see that Sega definitely took their time, and M2 definitely took their time with doing this system. So let's go ahead and head back out, and we're going to check out one more game. Like I said, my time for the initial video is limited in how much I can record. I am going to play a bunch more off screen for the next month or so. This is just my initial impressions of the system, and I think it's time that we play a little Wily Wars. And you guys know, if you're an avid viewer of the channel, I am terrible at Mega Man games. Like, I make my way through them, but I just want to see how this game looks and runs, as this was a PAL only release and it never released in North America, so it did not have the 60 hertz. It was a 50 hertz game. Just want to see if there's any slowdown or anything like it, and just sort of experience this game, because admittedly, while I have played the NES Mega Man games, of course this is a remake of Mega Man 1, 2, and 3, done in 16-bit sprites, I've never actually checked out the Wily Wars. There's lots of reproductions out there, but I just want to see how this game looks, how the music sounds, and how it feels. I will say I really like the music. It's definitely very bassy, and I think the game looks great, and it's controlling great. It's obviously not, you know, running slow or anything like that. It's very responsive, and it looks, you know, great. Like, the colors look nice and crisp. Everything looks good. I'm not good at the game, obviously. Like, look at me, I'm getting destroyed here, but I am having fun playing it. And since it has save states, I can actually play through these games, because like I said, you know, I'm not good at Mega Man. So let's get into my final thoughts on this system. So, to the surprise of no one, I am in love with the Sega Genesis Mini. I love the build quality of the system. I think everything feels great, everything looks great, and there's nice little attention to detail on the system as well. Even the box itself is absolutely gorgeous. I love just looking over it and thinking of how it reminds me of the Sega Genesis 1 model. The emulation seems very solid with the system as well. I was very pleased checking out some of the games on it, and I'm going to be checking out more games on this system, as I can once again talk about it in the month of September. But I wanted to give you guys my initial thoughts, my initial impressions on the Sega Genesis Mini, to see if this is something you want to pre-order. If you are a fan of the Sega Genesis and you want a simple plug-and-play solution for your Sega Genesis, and you just want to play some classic Genesis games, this is definitely a no-brainer for me. Even if you're just a collector, I think it makes a great collector's item as well. So I want to once again thank Sega for not only including me in releasing the information about the games for this system, but sending me a system to check out for you guys, because if you would have told 10-year-old RGT that he would be working with Sega, he'd be like, you're crazy. You're crazy. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the Sega Genesis Mini. Are you planning on picking one up? Did this video sort of sway you to pick one up, or maybe wait on one? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Later.